kindly expound more on this, Dr. Zetu. It seems like I did see a couple of adverts on it, as well as some campaigns you've been doing. But for the sake of the investor community out there as well, in terms of what do you actually plan to achieve out of this? And if you're to give us a typical example, how will it work?
Well, how is it working? The Safaricom Foundation for a very long time has been funding projects large and small, but it started to kind of just focus on the bigger ones. And this was, bringing it back home, bringing it back to what my predecessor, Michael Joseph, say, it ranges from somebody who wants to buy a few chickens to start a chicken farm for a school. And so we said, look, let's just go back to basics. Let's go back to what were we really about? We were really about working with the community to fix the problems in the community. We don't actually do anything ourselves. We always do it in partnership with others. And the people who care most about it are the people who are in the community. And so you'd find a teacher who says, I need to build toilet facilities for my children. And I don't have the funds to do it. So Safaricom, can you help me to do it? So we launched this at the beginning of the year, I think the 2nd of January or something like that, running for about 3 months. And we've invited people in the communities to come up with their dream of how they can help their community. It's not a dream of how you can help yourself, because I already know what that is. I mean, you just have to look at my email inbox. Every day, somebody wants me to sponsor them to do their masters in Philadelphia.
Sure.
I think, even I didn't afford to do my masters in Philadelphia, so why would I pay for you?
Sure.
But we recognize that there are these ordinary people who want to provide wheelchairs for the disabled in their community, want to do latrines, want to have computers in schools. And today we're getting about, average run rate is about 500 applications a day at the moment. We will only fund 500 of them, spread across the country. Why does that matter to us? Businesses cannot succeed in societies which are not thriving, which are not successful. Yeah. And we can't hold our heads up as a successful company and feel proud if you have a society where, the disabled person can't get into a wheelchair, where children, if you see some of these latrines that the children are using, it's undignified, it's unhygienic, it's dangerous.
Sure.
And we cannot be proud to be a successful Kenyan company if that's the way that Kenyans are living.
Interesting. And of course, quite a step in the right direction, Bob.
Well, we hope so. We've always done what we think is the right thing. Sometimes it's not been. Sometimes we've made mistakes. But, hey, we all make mistakes. You make mistakes.
That's true.
But we always try to do the right thing. And we always start in the right place, despite the criticisms. I mean, you're big, so you get criticized from time to time.
Sure. And Bob, as much as this initiative is aimed towards making a difference in society, it borders on philanthropy to some extent, from where I sit. And Safaricom has also led by example by having sustainability reporting. How does this impact really on how the company is perceived out there, especially now that Kenya is one of the key frontier markets?
We have been driving the sustainability debate for quite some time, ever since I started in the company, because we believe that in publishing a sustainability report, you become much more transparent. You become transparent about the things you succeed at and the things that you're not so good at. So when we look at things like gender diversity, we're very open about it. And we're very open about the movement. Has it gone positive or has it gone negative? We started measuring our carbon footprint. If you look at the last sustainability report, you'll see that the carbon footprint has actually gone up. And so it encourages shareholders to say, so what are you going to do about that? You as a company have committed to becoming net zero by 2050. How are you going to achieve the net zero? What are you doing about employing people with disability? What are you doing about gender diversity? What are you doing about governance and transparency? Shareholders then have a greater degree of confidence in how you're managing the company. this is a conversation which I often have, particularly with Northern European shareholders. So shareholders from Norway, Sweden, places like that, they want to know, what are you doing about sustainability? And more particular, what are you doing about the Sustainable Development Goals? And, we have elected to support 9 of these goals. And, whether it is climate, whether it is working in partnerships, which goal number 17, whether it's good governance, we've stated what those are in our sustainability report, and we report on them.
All right. And Bob, as we come to the tail end of the conversation, one of the bigger questions that, of course, investors would want to hear from you responding to is, we've seen the company's share price actually appreciate over time. When you listed first off, the stock was valued at about 5 shillings. It came to a high and hit about 33 shillings. Now we're talking about in the region of 20. But really, as much as the share has been doing pretty well, and you've been one of the most liquid stocks in the exchange, from an investor standpoint, are there opportunities that you might be looking at to raise some capital from these stocks, as much as I know you have very deep cash reserves?
Yeah, we don't need to raise cash. The share price, yeah, we topped up at 33, I think, at some point. I think today it's probably around 26-ish. So if you bought the shares for 5 shillings, we would have given you your money back in dividends. We'd have given you 5.5 shillings back, and plus your 5 shillings would now be worth 25, 26, which is not a bad return, I think. We hope that investors will continue to have confidence both in the company and in the country, and the two things matter a lot, because when people are not sure about, for example, the exchange, the forex, if they're not sure that the shilling is appropriately valued, then they're not going to invest dollar investment in the shilling. And we've seen quite a bit of that in recent months, where investors were saying, great company, like the performance, like the numbers, but not sure I want to put dollars into a shilling investment right now, because I don't know whether the shilling is valued. I mean, the great thing is that I think that between the governor of the central bank and Treasury, they're actually managing it pretty well, and it's defying what people have been fearing about the shilling. The shilling is really consolidating at around 100 to 102, and we're not seeing the decline, despite all the naysayers. So, due credit to the central bank. That does matter in the level of confidence that a shareholder has in investing, not just in my company, but in others as well. And of course, the underlying business is important. People need to see that you've got diverse revenue streams coming along in addition to your traditional voice and data. M-Pesa is trucking along, I think, pretty well. Fuliza is just yet another example of how we're going to continue to innovate there. And we've only just started on the innovation. We kind of slept a little bit with M-Pesa, but now we've got a fantastic guy who's leading it, Sitoyo. And Sitoyo really has turned this business around in the last year. And, he will continue to do great things. So for investors, I think it's a confident investment.
Interesting. So, Bob, what keeps you awake at night?
That generator you're hearing over there is what keeps me awake at night. I'm not kept awake at night. I think that people who don't sleep well don't perform well. So I do actually get my 7 to 8 hours sleep. What do I focus on? And certainly in the last few months and year, you have a greater degree of focus. My real focus is, how do I ensure that this company is set up to continue to thrive into the future? And that's going to be about, what are the new opportunities we can explore, and how do I get the team out of the complacency of saying, well, M-Pesa is great and data is great, and so we're good to go. How do I get the team to understand that the threats will not come from the mobile operators? The threats will come from the social media players, WhatsApp, I keep saying to people, even my Fitbit, in some countries you can pay using your Fitbit today.
Yeah.
So these are the new competitors who are coming. And, I really need to make sure that the rest of the team understand that they need to look beyond the horizon at what the next opportunities are.
All right. So, Bob, you are away for about 6 months, and you lead a very big team. And, of course, one of the key landmarks of leadership is how do you leave your team to succeed even in your absence?
So a couple of corrections there. The first one is I was actually away for a year.
Oh, yeah.
And the second thing is I don't lead a big team. I lead a very small team. So I lead a team of 10 people. And they then lead the rest of the organization. I don't lead the rest of the organization.
Sure.
And I think that's the trick. You empower them. So many people who send me CVs, and please don't send me CVs, because I don't give jobs. I only give jobs to the 10 people who work for me. Beyond that, it's their decision. So you empower them to make decisions. You choose the best people. And I must say that I'm extraordinarily proud of the team. And they prove themselves. They proved themselves last year. If you look at the results, it will show that it's the right team doing the right thing.
Sure.
So this company is a company that's led by one person, but actually managed by a great executive team of 10 people, and then in themselves they lead great teams below.
All right. And you look like you're in tip-top shape, Bob. What have you been up to?
It's the drugs. I'm only half joking about that. Look, I think you have to keep. I keep saying to people, if you're in a swimming pool, if you don't do anything, you'll drown. You have to keep kicking and splashing around to at least stay afloat. But I try to do a little bit more than just stay afloat. I try to move forward as well. So,
all right.
Yeah.
And how are you responding so far to your drugs?
It's a new way of living. You need to learn to live with cancer. A lot of people talk about beating cancer and stuff. Some people do. I'm learning to live with it. I have cancer, and as you can see, it's not really getting in the way of things.
It's manageable.
I'm learning to manage it, but with a great medical team, both here in Nairobi and in London. So between them, I keep them busy.
All right. Hope the family is also supportive.
Look, none of this could have happened without the support of the family. A wife who's just extraordinary. The fact that she came to London and lived through some pretty cold and miserable weather. She watched her husband go through his treatment, and 100% support, not 99%, 100% support, and until now, very protective. So I can't interact so much with people because of my immune system. So I can't shake hands, I can't go into larger crowds, and she helps me navigate through that difficult time, as is a wonderful personal team back in the office. So I look at my PA Marion, Gladys, Ada, they all really protect me and make sure that I can keep the balance and I can keep working well.
Awesome. And Bob, what will be your parting shot really as we come to the end of this conversation, knowing that as a country we are at the cusp of fighting corruption? The president is on record saying that it will be an all-out war.
So we've taken a long time to get to this point. We actually developed the private sector anti-bribery laws a while back. We still haven't seen anyone being prosecuted under these laws. So at the time we said we don't have the right laws. Now we got the right laws, and the private sector hasn't stepped up to this. What's really good to see is that in the public sector, the DCI, the DPP, EACC are all taking this seriously. And it's the first time that we've seen this concerted effort to bring people to justice. Now, having said that, we still now need to see people being prosecuted. It's not everybody who's been charged who will be guilty, that's for sure. And you are innocent until you're proven guilty. But now I think it's up to the judiciary to deliver on their part of it. And you hear the the CJ say, but you have to bring good cases, and he's absolutely right, of course. But I still think that it's now in the hands of the judiciary. The politicians have done their bit. You've seen a lot of public servants who've been, hauled to account. But I think the judiciary now needs to step up and bring these cases to closure. If you're in the UK and you're had up for corruption, if you're had up in October, you'll be in jail by now.
All right.
We have to have swift justice because, justice delayed is always justice denied.
Mm-hmm. Great place to end the conversation, Bob. We need to see more of convictions rather than prosecutions.
You absolutely need to see more convictions. You need to see people go to jail. No question about that. Because the people who suffer most from corruption are the poor. And that's just not, it's just plain wrong. And so let's deal with it. But I'm really pleased to see the political will behind it. Whether it's from the president, whether it's from Raila Odinga, whether it's from the DP, whoever it is, they're all saying, let's finally deal with this thing once and for all.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Bob. We appreciate your time. And we look forward to linking up more over and over.
You're welcome.
All right.
It's a pleasure. Thanks.
Well, quite a lengthy and insightful interview there with Bob Collymore, the CEO of Safaricom, one of the listed companies in the Nairobi Securities Exchange, actually the biggest company by market valuation.